So I went on this trip kind of a little bit frustrated, but still thinking that maybe it would still be possible. I wasn't really sure. I was thinking about everything, every possibilities that maybe closing, maybe keeping it the way it was and going forward, and then maybe changing it. So I went away with on this trip, this just everything in my mind. During this trip, a hurricane was on the way,
Hmm.
and it was gonna hit, and it was gonna hit hard.
Hey, I am Sam, your host, and this is Startup Fuck Ups. All right, so again, thank you for doing this and thank you for coming today and
Yeah,
meeting.
thank you for having me.
So, the first thing and the first question that I want to ask you is who are you and where is your background and expertise?
Okay, so my name is Corina Lujan. I studied baking and pastry at FCI, it's French Culinary Institute in New York. Currently, I think it's called International Culinary Center. I think they changed the name a couple years back. Then after that, I studied again. I graduated from baking and pastry arts in Johnson and Wales in Miami. Uh, Sadly, they're actually closing their campus, their Miami campus. Yeah, after this whole COVID-19 issue. So I'm a cake designer. I I was taught by Maggie Austin in Washington D.C. She's an amazing teacher. She's an amazing cake designer. She's done wedding cakes for Blake Lively and all those sorts of people, famous and whatnot. And then also I was taught by Ron Ben Israel, another cake designer. So yeah, basically that's my background.
Yeah, so that's really amazing. And the next question that I have for you is where are you from and what does entrepreneurship mean culturally speaking from where you are?
Okay, I'm from Venezuela. I was born in Caracas. I feel like a lot of people are entrepreneurs there, but I would also say it's mostly the case for families with higher incomes and people who are more or well educated. Then the gap between people who are not as much as educated, they don't really have the option to be entrepreneurs, at least not that many people. um, so it's a bit strange because for a lot of families it's very normal, but then for a bunch of other, the majority of the country, it's not the case.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and in another episode, I was speaking with someone else from Venezuela, and he was telling me that from his perspective, that everyone was on entrepreneur mode because they needed to survive and they needed to be an entrepreneur, even though it's not like a formal thing, but they would do like
Yeah,
businesses from everything. So
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, right now it's survival mode over there, and people try to do anything to continue living and eating and providing for their own families.
yeah, no, of course. This is when like entrepreneurship takes this cultural significance where that it's your current state. I mean, there's no other option. Like you need to be an entrepreneur to survive.
Exactly. Yeah,
And yeah,
it's insane. Yeah.
yeah, I know it sounds insane, but actually, if you see like the silver lining on that, everyone has developed this resilience and this entrepreneurial mindset, which of course that it's not the right setting or not the right results that we would like to, but if you if we could be able to repurpose that, it would be really amazing, I believe.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like overall, Venezuela is, for some reason, I feel like it's one of the happiest countries in the world, even though it's all messed up, and there's so much poverty, but people are still working through and trying to find new ways and reinventing each other and themselves and how to provide in general for themselves and their families.
No, yeah, of course, of course. All right. So, well, so moving on, more specific to your project, could you tell me about a bit about the project that failed?
Yeah, so having my background in baking and pastry, I obviously decided to continue and pursue it. So I was looking, at first I started looking for a place to just an empty space where I could create my own bakery and then create my own recipes and sort of a higher end, but kind of baked goods, but still have them be um, easy access and for everyone. But then an opportunity was brought to me to buy another bakery that had been running for 15 years by two French brothers. They had been doing it mostly by themselves. They did not trust anyone to do anything except for maybe certain baked goods, and that's it. But basically, they would be there from 4 in the morning till 7 at night every day except Mondays, which they were closed. So this was presented to me, and I thought it was a great opportunity. It was very local, no tourists around, and the neighborhood, the whole everything that surrounded the bakery, I really loved, and I already knew. I had actually been there before when I was younger, so it seemed great. So yeah, I purchased it, and I kind of changed the items because I felt first the quality was not the best, and second, it was dated. It wasn't. They didn't have any modern twist to anything. And coming from my schools and everything, I that's what I loved, to have modern bakery. So yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah, that's really great. So, and this bakery, it was located in Miami, is that right?
Yeah, Miami, South Miami specifically.
That's
Yeah.
really great. Yeah, and how was the business before you bought it? I mean, how was everything moving before you bought that?
I mean, they were great. They were doing really good. I don't really understand why they decided to change. I never understood why, but because they were doing good, it wasn't that they were losing money. But after I bought the place, I understood why they were doing so great. It was because they weren't really, so first off, they almost all the time preferred to be paid in cash.
Mm.
And then they didn't report the sales all the time,
Oh,
meaning they didn't really pay as much taxes as they should have. So that's what effed me up
yeah, no, no, no,
in the
makes sense.
long run.
Yeah,
I
makes
mean, by not paying so much taxes, they obviously had much more in their pocket.
yeah,
But yeah, and I wanted to do everything legally and legit, and that's, which was, I guess, in their eyes, my mistake. I was raised in a household where they would always say the easier the money comes to you, the easier it goes away,
yeah.
and things like that. And I was always taught to do the correct thing.
In the long run, if you evaluate the investment that you make on doing things right, in the long run, it's much more. I'm not gonna say perhaps profitable because of course you're gonna see some loss of profits doing things right, but then the
Yeah.
ability to sleep at night and to know that you did everything the right way, that's something for me that's priceless.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I get so stressed out with everything that has to do with money, specifically in business. And for me to be able to go to sleep thinking that everything's paid, that I won't have the IRS coming to my door, that gave me a lot of peace of mind.
When you started this project, and you decided to buy this bakery, what led you to do it? What was the motivator?
Well, first of all, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always have had my own businesses.
Mhm.
So I've always known that that's what I want to do. I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to do my own things.
Mhm.
Um, but aside from that, I mean I wanted to pursue my career, and then also, well, this opportunity had been presented to me, and then as well, I I I didn't have many options to stay in the U.S. legally, so investment was the easiest, quickest way for me to stay in the U.S. Unless I wanted to keep on studying, but I mean, at 25, I think that was my limit of studying.
Yeah, you were ready to move on.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Yeah. And when you started it, and when you got that opportunity, what did you feel? I mean, how did you know this was the right path, or how did you, like, it was something from your intuition or something about your thinking that led you to make this decision?
So I was very I was surrounded by people that supported me,
Hmm.
and they helped me in every possible way. I was very confident in the business because it was presented to me in a way that I believed it was worth it. Um, Again, this was not knowing that they were um, they were getting earnings from their sales without them reporting it. So so in general, I was very optimistic about the business. Everyone was very welcoming in the neighborhood. My whole family and friends, they were all very, very supportive of the whole project.
Yeah.
And in general, I mean, this was just what I was looking for a really long time.
Yeah, no, of course, and that is really important to feel that confidence and that support from your network and your peers, because taking that decision about starting a new thing and buying something, which perhaps you've read the numbers and perhaps you've seen it, but you have never worked on it, that takes a lot of courage to do so. So being in
Yeah.
the right environment and having the right support definitely helps towards this.
Yeah. I mean, my family went in there with me head on, and they are amazing. Seriously, I could not do anything without my family. Just because whatever I would need and whenever I would need it, they are always there for me. So yeah, I mean, we were there. This is a really funny anecdote. I mean, I don't know if it's funny. Maybe it's a little gross, but so when I finally got the keys to it, I
Mm.
started. I had already noticed, but then I was able to be there without being supervised by the previous owners. So I was finally able to actually check every single thing in the bakery. And it was not the cleanest bakery ever. And I really never understood how they passed the health code, because I mean, you cannot imagine. It was like a whole before and after thing. And then so my family and I, we were at the bakery one day. We're like, okay, we need to clean this. Let's call everyone.
Mm.
So so I would close on Sundays at 1:30.
Mhm.
And at the time my whole family was there, and we were cleaning that, like, you have no idea. We were there for all of Sunday, all of that, the rest of the Sunday, and then half of Monday, because on Mondays I wouldn't open either. And it was, I mean, it was insane. It was insane, the whole amount of dust that was everywhere.
Okay.
The It was not the nicest thing ever, and it was, so that's when I say my family was amazing, because they didn't. they did it just out of love. They weren't getting paid. They were just, it was their Sunday. They all work. So I mean, they were amazing.
No, that's really amazing. And having that support, it's really important as we speak. Tell me a bit about the evolution from the moment that you started working on the project, and then on so far for the time that you went building, working on the business, up until the moment before everything ended.
Okay, so it was tough because um, I guess since the brothers had been there for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
their following, to name it like that, had been following them for 15 years. So
Mm-hmm.
the moment that they started noticing that they were changing owners, most of the customers would say, "Oh no, I don't like change," because most of the customers were older people.
They were adverse to change, like.
Yes. And they liked their coffee the way it was, and whatever they ate just exactly they were the way it was. So when they introduced me to the customers and they would say, "Oh, this is what's going to be the new owner," blah blah blah, and they were like, "No, I don't want this. I don't like this change. I don't want you to leave. Please stay. Don't sell it." In general, most of the customers were that way.
Mm-hmm.
So when the time came for me to open my first day,
Mm-hmm.
so these people had line for me. I mean, it was not the biggest space. So I mean, after 5 people, yes, there was a line outside. So it's not like it was huge line. But so they had a line for me, and then people would stay there and talk and have their coffee and then another coffee. So by the time when I got the keys and I opened the store, that first Tuesday was horrible. It was depressing. Not a lot of their usual customers came because they knew that it was another owner. I
Interesting.
mean, the ones that came, they either came with an attitude
Mm-hmm.
and waiting for me to fail, because I was told this by one of the customers afterwards.
Whoa.
And they were waiting for me to fail. And then the other customers that started coming, they were open to change. They were younger,
Mm-hmm.
maybe newlyweds, people who were new to the neighborhood. And that's the people who ended up being my customers, the people who weren't really uh, following the brothers around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it was tough. The change was tough for sure. The first year was a lot of work. Again, my family was there whenever I needed them. And they helped so much. I then afterwards, at first I didn't do any remodeling of the place because, I mean, my budget was just to buy the place.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started it wasn't like a huge remodel of the space, but definitely just painting and then
Mm-hmm.
changing a few things here and there. And then also, that's also something that the customers didn't like. So that's what ended running them out of the place. The
Okay.
ones that were more neglected to
Okay.
accept the change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those ended up not, maybe a few only came back. And then I started getting more and more new customers,
Mm-hmm.
which was really great.
Okay.
And then, so it was okay for that time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then summertime was always the worst, since it was a very local area and it was filled with people that had higher purchasing power. So by the time summertime came around, obviously they would travel, they would take their kids to camp, and they wouldn't come back for 2 months. So those 2 months were horrible. Basically, I would work all winter, quote unquote, because there's not like a huge winter in Miami. Um, so all winter, everyone in the bakery would work their butt off because summertime was coming around afterwards.
Okay.
Um, definitely wintertime was my best time of the year.
Okay.
And then after that, after I started getting extremely exhausted because even though I did have employees, in the end it was basically just me. I didn't have a partner in
Hmm.
the business. So it was basically just me, and then this whole thing, money, we have to pay the rent and pay the client, and not the clients,
Yeah.
the the employees and everything. The stress was getting to me, so I started looking for a right hand man or woman. Um, and I tried a couple of times, or 3 or 4 times with different people, and I feel like each time they failed me in a way.
Okay.
So by that time, I was already exhausted. I
Mm.
was already so exhausting, everything. I mean, just having to wake up every day at 3 in the morning to be at the bakery 3 or 3:30 in the morning. It was really exhausting. I didn't have a break. I maybe sometimes lunchtime I would just grab half an hour, and then I would keep on going until 6 p.m. and
Oh,
then close out, and then I would get to my house at 7:30 with the dog. So when the dog had been poor dog would be in the apartment closed all day. So I had to go and walk the dog and then come back. And then by the time I went to bed, it was already 10.
yeah, of course.
I mean that's very little amount of sleep.
No,
I
and
even I
it's 33 in the morning and you're going to sleep at 10 p.m. Like the numbers don't add up. Like,
well I actually, just because the when I had just started,
hmm.
I had lost so much sleep. I didn't I wasn't, I don't know what happened to me. I crashed. I
Of
didn't even fall asleep. That's the worst part. I was driving to work at 3 in the morning and I crashed
fuck.
because I was so exhausted, and I wasn't able to react fast enough. And that's what I mean. That's when I say you have to have a partner to
Okay.
help you out in business,
Okay.
to
Okay.
take turns, to, I don't know, divide the work somehow.
Yeah.
I was doing the front end, the back end of the house, and then also the numbers of, and it was, you cannot do everything by yourself. You can't. It's not physically possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And then 2 years, almost, yeah, 2 years later, that's when I decided to close. It was way too much for me.
Oof, yeah, no, and completely understand. And talk to me a bit about that last part. Like, how did everything end?
So I had tried to push forward,
Mm-hmm.
and I started to look into getting a loan to basically remodel absolutely everything: the image, the name, the whole place, a different menu, different things to offer, being in general just a higher end bakery, something a little more to my taste, because in the end I never really did change the menu a whole lot.
Okay.
So I never really ended up loving the menu and me having to make it and the whole process of actually creating your own business. I just adapted a business that already existed to my own likings.
Yeah.
So I started to search into getting a loan or getting a silent partner, something of that sort. And
Mm-hmm.
I was actually very excited, but I was still very exhausted. And then so I tried to once a year try and get a week of vacations, and then it was summertime, which was okay. I mean, it was the slowest time of the year for us, and I went away for a trip. And during that trip, this was already me trying to see if I could get the loan and stuff. And then I was almost getting to that point too where I understood that maybe that wasn't such a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on this trip, kind of a little bit frustrated, but still thinking that maybe it would still be possible. I wasn't really sure. I was thinking about everything, every possibilities, that maybe closing, maybe keeping it the way it was and going forward, and then maybe changing it. So I went away with on this trip, this just everything in my mind. During this trip, hurricane was on the way,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to hit, and it was going to hit hard. And they had already said, yes, it's gonna everything like leave. You have to evacuate. The stone was actually being evacuated. Where the bakery was, everyone was evacuated from there. I was on this trip handling everything with,
Oh,
again, my family, my cousin. He had told me, don't worry, you can go on your trip, I'll take care of everything. So in the end, he was the one that took care of everything to close out and put the shutters and everything. It was insane. And then obviously the hurricane hit and the power went out, and we lost absolutely everything, every product that we had,
mm,
except for the dry goods. Which, I mean, yeah, it was a lot, but still there was a lot of product that needed to be refrigerated, and it was a couple $1,000. And I was already super tight budget wise.
yeah.
And then I came back and I saw everything, and I was like, no, I can't do this. I just can't. And I decided to just sell the place. I had actually gotten an offer like 6 months before from these two women that wanted a bakery. And I said, you know what, contact them. I'll let's negotiate. But yeah.
Yeah, bah, that's really tough. And listening to you, I can feel like your story. And yeah, and being on a trip, like, and your vacation, you are exhausted and you're enjoying your days, and then this happens, and then a hurricane comes and you lose this product, and well, yeah, a lot to handle at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah. It
And
was not the best week of vacation. Definitely not a vacation.
yeah, what a hell of a vacation. I'm guessing that's a vacation you'll never forget about. Like,
Oh no, for sure. I mean, that was a really insane vacation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And all right, so just to dig a bit more about this. So when you knew that everything that, like, when you got back from your vacation, quote, vacation, um and you knew that you needed to close, and that you had this offer from someone wanting to buy a bakery, who was the first person that you called to speak about this, and how did that conversation go?
So on this 1 week vacation that I had taken
Mm-hmm.
and this hurricane issue that had passed,
Mm-hmm.
my flight was canceled 3 times. Meaning, instead of staying 1 week, I stayed a month.
Wow. Okay.
And this was a vacation that I took with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the end, it was just me and my mom for this vacation. My other part of the family had already returned,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just being on a vacation and being this exhausted, noticing that I couldn't really relax on a vacation. I was like, okay, I think I want to close. I'm pretty sure I want to close. And I told my mom, and I said, you know what? I think this is the best decision for me right now. I just can't take it. I was depressed. I was stressed. I was um, just very unhappy in general. Um, so I told her, and she said, you know what? I'll support any decision that you want. And I do think this is the best for you at the moment. If this is not what you want, then fine. But I do suggest that you search for someone, for a partner to help you, or keep going with this decision. Keep going forward. You do have an offer on the table, and just anything you want, I'll be there for you. But yeah.
No, that's really powerful, because having your family right next to you, even when things are not going bad, like, that's really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Really powerful. So yeah, yeah, really amazing story about that. And what what did you do to manage and overcome this depression and stress and all the emotional feelings and hardships that you were feeling? How did you handle about that to move forward?
I mean, it was definitely tough because it's a failure in the end. It's you put so much work, time, money into this project that didn't pan out. So it was I mean, I was a little depressed. And but it really felt like it was the right thing to do for me.
Hmm.
I was it had been two uncertain amount of more time, years, 2 years and something, that I was really exhausted, and I felt let down by myself, not by anyone else. It's just by myself. I let myself down, and then that did not make me happy. But then in the end, I started noticing that it was really the best thing, and I really needed to relax. I needed to find myself again.
Hmm.
I For over 2 years, I didn't have time for myself. I didn't have time to dedicate to myself. I had gained over 10 kilos in 2 years, and I had no time to work out. I had no time to go out to have dinner, to spend time with my family. I mean, it was really basically really exhausting. So by the time that this all came, yes, I was feeling down and blue, but at the same time was relieved,
Yeah.
so relieved. And I took off about 4 months, kind of, or 6 months.
Hmm.
I just needed time by myself, and just to find out what I wanted to do next.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And where I really find your courage is into in what you just said. Like I needed some time just to find out what was next thing that I was going to do, because you're so determined on what you want to achieve, and that you want to be an entrepreneur, that even this big of a failure that at some point might as well be a relief didn't hold you back from moving forward to the next thing. So
Yeah, no, no, definitely not. I mean, again, as I said in the beginning, I've always known that I'm an entrepreneur, and that's what I want to do.
and that is really courageous from you. Like I truly admire the people that have
Thanks.
that that
Yeah.
strength to move forward on that. And yeah, so and now looking back and thinking about what happened, what would you say, or what would you tell someone who is in who might encounter similar situations, like when you did, like before you started the project, then on the ongoing project, and then when you failed?
Okay. Um, so first of all, I forgot to mention this. One of my other mistakes while purchasing this space
Mm-hmm.
was to really not check with someone who knew about ovens and air conditioning, and just in general the whole machinery of a bakery.
Okay.
I just kind of just checked what I knew
Mhm.
from my whole background,
Yeah.
how things should work. And I kind of just checked, and I thought, well, it's not brand new, but it works. And in the end, no, I had to spend so much money to basically change so many things in a bakery.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, if you're going to a business that has machinery of any type, have someone come and check it out, because it ends up being more to fix them
Yeah.
or to buy new things than what you had already expected to spend. So check everything out, everything. Not only, and then also not only the machinery, but actually find out where the numbers are coming from. Because yes, these people had been earning over $15,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't it wasn't really a whole 100% legit
Mm-hmm.
where this money was coming from. So
Yeah.
I was depending on this amount of money, but in the end, um, I would end up losing more paying taxes than them. So have someone that you actually trust so much with your life, because this is going to be your life in the coming years. And check everything out, the numbers, the machinery, the whole space. Check out that they have everything up to code, just because the code keeps on changing throughout the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, That's in the beginning.
Mhm.
During the whole business in general, get a partner.
Okay.
Get a partner. I cannot say this enough. Get a partner. Do not do this on your own. You cannot do it on your own. No matter how much you think you can, you cannot do it on your own.
Okay.
It is not physically possible for a person to do a whole thing of anything of a business, any type of business by themselves.
Yeah,
It is not possible.
of course.
Then also have a support system, and that's something that I definitely had for sure. Friends, family, peers, anything. I did have support. Um, Aside from getting a partner, get someone, an employee that can be your right hand and your partner's right hand in the business. It's
Yeah.
also really important to have employees that you trust. If you don't trust them, you won't be happy. They won't be happy. No one will be happy. So
Yes.
no, it's not going to work out. And then towards the end, if you're not happy in general, then don't waste your time. I mean, you can figure out another way to continue to do the same thing or something similar and be happy with your life. I think this is I think I think those are my
Your
opinion. Yeah.
recommendations for for
My,
people
my
might
recommendations, yeah.
encounters. Yeah, and that is really important because regarding the first part, like reviewing and understanding, when you want to learn how to become a professional baker and really study about that, no one told you about when you have to buy a bakery, you need to check up on the machines and you need to check up on the customers and the people that go there. They only taught you about how to make pastries and really good pastries and really amazing, but there's this missing part about um, how to know if the business numbers are legit or whether if the customer base is going to stay once the owner.
Embrace you, yeah.
Yeah, and then regarding the execution of the model, definitely that is something that many people like understand. Like, I need a partner to be someone to do this with me. Many people like me, I tend to make the mistake that I don't need partners to do things, but that's a lie, because I have a lot of people who support me, like, and I have a lot of people in my team who help me deliver the things that I do. And definitely then many entrepreneurs and many founders, when they encounter on this with this question about who is my right co-founder and who is going to be my partner, they sometimes feel afraid about getting a partner because they don't trust the other person or what it might do the business relationship to an already established relationship with trust.
Yeah.
So that's a tricky thing to really move forward. But yeah, I completely agree with you that you need someone who supports you in
Yeah.
this process. Like,
Yeah. Also, I mean, I know in this project I didn't have a partner, but I have had partners.
okay,
So another recommendation is establish rules from the beginning with your partners. Do not go into it just being friends and then just, oh, we'll see how it goes. No, do not do that. Establish rules for the business and to keep friendship out. If you're doing a friend or family member, anything, just establish rules, because it is always really important to have everything on the table and not just be it coming up while you go.
yeah, regarding defining your rules with your partner,
Yeah.
like one of the first things, and many people tend to leave this out because that is a difficult conversation to have. Like, how do you tell your friend or your family that you need to establish some rules? And some people might say, so hey, no, yeah, we'll do this later and it doesn't matter about that, but it does matter, and it definitely prevents a lot of problems with
Yes.
the people.
Yes, definitely. I mean, establish everything from the beginning. Um, how you're going to divide the earnings and who's going to do what, and how are you going to, when are your meetings, or certain things are definitely going to come up because you can't really predict everything, but try to have as most as possible on the table and already talked, because it's the best way to go into a business with
No, yeah,
someone.
of course, of course, of course. And all right, so and what have you changed on your mind after this experience?
Have a partner.
Because previously, I mean, you were like me, like you need a partner to do things, and then or what?
um no, I mean, I learned the hard way. Just because I had a few experiences before this one with partners, and I decided maybe this is not, maybe I can do this on my own. And no, you can't really do it on your own. So yeah, definitely just figure out who your partner is going to be, how you're going to do it. That's one of the things that have changed. Something else, take care of yourself, definitely. I mean, you can't just let go of yourself just because you have a business. You need time for yourself to just pamper yourself mentally, physically, in general. Just it's something that everyone needs to have.
You have gone through a lot, like you told me about this whole process, and everyone listening can really learn from your experience about this. So I believe, yeah, you just need to set on your course and move forward on it, on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And finally, just to wrap up a bit about this conversation, tell me a bit about what are you currently doing throughout this process of your career and your experience as an entrepreneur. How has that experience shaped what you're doing right now?
Okay. So at the moment, I'm working on a couple of projects. I after closing the bakery, I studied event planning and design,
Hmm.
which led me into finally committing to studying interior design. I had actually started that right after I graduated from high school.
Hmm.
For personal reasons, I dropped out and changed a couple of months after to baking pastry. I always kind of regretted that decision. So now I'm going back to my original plan. But at the same time, I'm not leaving my culinary skills wrapped up in a closet in the corner. I'm actually at the moment working on new recipes for healthier lifestyle and more of a gluten-free and vegan and all that sort of
Nice.
new and up and coming trend.
Hmm.
Well, it's not up and coming; it's already been for a while, but but it's a trend that I'm getting into just because I've noticed that I benefit from it a lot. My health benefits from it a lot. So that's one of the that's my two projects at the moment. Interior design and this whole new type of baking and pastry. So I feel like I'm definitely more prepared
Hmm.
for what's coming my way.
Hmm.
I'm thinking it and preparing in general better. Reaching out to other people for help. I am not trying to do it by myself. I am more cautious, but at the same time more confident
Okay.
in my decisions. I think I'm more cautious because I think them through a little bit more,
Yeah.
but at the same time I'm more confident because when I dive into those decisions, I've already thought them and gone through them, and I think that's what I'm more confident about it. I mean, and I'm older, I'm wiser. I mean, that's what we all are whenever we're growing. Um, we get wiser. Definitely, there's no other way because we just learn from our mistakes. So definitely wiser, and that's what's helped me also.
No, that's really important. And I really like what you're doing with your baking and reinventing this new thing, not only because it's the new trend or the thing that it's right now, but because something that you said earlier about taking care of yourself. Like taking care of yourself, that is such an important thing to do, even if you are an entrepreneur or not. That's something that you need to take into your process, like in your conscious. So
Hmm.
mixing that with your baking and doing products and making new recipes that take care of the people, that's also really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's a I mean, I'm a foodie, obviously. I'm a chef. So I can't not be a foodie. And figuring this out has actually helped me so much because it's just I get to be a foodie, but a healthier foodie.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's a way of taking care of myself and others because in the end this is a product that I'm launching for other people as well.
Thank you for this amazing conversation, and thank you
Of
for your
course.
story. I don't know if there's something else that you would like to share to our listeners about, aside from starting with a partner and not doing it on your own and taking care of themselves. But
um be confident about yourself. Don't let other people bring you down.
yeah,
You know yourself better than anyone can know you. So if definitely don't listen to the naysayers. There's always going to be a naysayer, always, 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 and just continue, work through it, and push until you get what you want. I mean, you're never too old for anything. I mean, I'm 30 and I'm starting a new career, so I mean, I'm happy, and yeah,
it's really important that you feel happy and that you take care of yourself right now.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, I aside from everything, just I hope this really helps someone because I would have loved to hear something like this when it was my time back then. Um, and definitely, I think that's another thing. Just be confident and push through.
No, this is really, really exactly why I'm doing this. Like, this is exactly, I like to have these conversations and invite people over, because the first thing is that, the courage that it takes to speak about this so freely as you have done it, it's a lot. So we need to acknowledge that courage, and then to provide these perspectives to someone else who might be in a similar situation and could help them overcome
Yeah,
their challenges, and perhaps they will face similar challenges, and perhaps they would even face similar failures. But then seeing someone like you having the strength and courage to speak about that and move forward and start again the new thing and do it again, that really motivates people and empowers people to move forward.
yeah, of course. I mean, not everyone likes to talk about their failures. Not everyone is okay with their failures and accepting them and getting through them is hard. So it's really hard to open up about it. So I feel like that's why there's so few podcasts and shows in general that speak about failure. Just in general, people don't talk about negative things.
Hmm.
And I feel like if we do it more often, people learn more
Yeah,
and are open to being okay with failure.
yeah, yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
definitely. All right, again, thank you for this amazing
Thank
conversation.
you so much, Sammy.
I am a firm believer that entrepreneurship is less about the business and much more about a personal growth process. I am not saying that the business is not important, but it is really important that you pay attention to your personal growth and also that you take care of yourself while you travel this path. One common thing many founders have told me has helped them taking care of themselves and pay attention to their personal growth is to have an amazing emotional support system that help them face challenges, overcome hardships, and feel supported. They felt comfortable openly speaking about their problems with their family and friends, finding a safe place where they could express their feelings and feel supported. Additionally, I believe that you should feel successful in other areas of your life, either by playing a sport or having fun with your friends and families, playing an instrument in a band, or taking photography and enjoying other life activities. Doing so can help you mitigate the feelings that could arise when one of your projects fail. It works because it detaches you from the failure of the project, from your personal life, avoiding the feelings of a personal failure. Corina was able to handle this really well by having the support from her family and also being a great chef, making her feel successful even when her business failed. Corina recommends everyone to get a partner, but I have seen many founders lose relationships and friendships over a mismanagement of the business relationship. I have found that a great way to avoid this is to trust each other, communicate a lot, set some ground rules, and lastly, but really important, each of the involved parties must have a need that is satisfied by the other parties. Otherwise, business partnerships will not work. Thank you for watching. Our goal is to help founders see failure from a different perspective. If you like this episode, remember to like the video and let us know in the comments what have you learned from failure. Are you interested in learning more? You can check our Patreon for exclusive content and subscribe to our mailing list for weekly updates. You will find the links for that in the description of this video. Remember to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications when we publish new videos.